Welcome to Be Stoic. If you're new here, you've come to the right place for powerful insights that can transform your life. Before we dive into today's topic, I want to take a moment to invite you to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. We're here to share timeless wisdom rooted in Stoicism, a philosophy that has helped countless people find strength, resilience, and purpose throughout history. By subscribing, you're joining a community of like-minded individuals who are on a journey to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient in the face of life's challenges. Now, let me ask you a question. Have you ever found yourself giving up something important just to please someone else? Perhaps you've sacrificed your peace of mind, your principles, or even your sense of self-worth to make someone happy or to avoid conflict. We've all been there. But according to the ancient Stoics, there are certain things you should never sacrifice, no matter what. Why? Because these things are essential to living a life of virtue, fulfillment, and inner peace. Today, we're diving into 5 things that, according to Stoic philosophy, you should never sacrifice for anyone. These aren't just theoretical ideas, they are practical principles that you can apply in your daily life. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear understanding of how to protect these crucial aspects of your life and, in doing so, find true freedom and fulfillment. Make sure you watch till the end, because this could be the turning point in how you approach relationships, challenges, and life itself. Now, let's get started. 1. Never sacrifice your integrity. Integrity is one of the cornerstones of Stoic philosophy. The Stoics believed that living in alignment with your values and principles was the highest form of virtue. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, wrote in his Meditations, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." This simple yet profound statement highlights the essence of Stoic ethics, acting with integrity in all aspects of your life. But what does it truly mean to never sacrifice your integrity? In practical terms, it means staying true to your beliefs, even when faced with pressure from others. It's about refusing to compromise your principles for the sake of approval, convenience, or short-term gain. The Stoics believed that integrity was non-negotiable because it defined your character. Integrity is what remains when all external factors, money, status, relationships, are stripped away. It is the foundation upon which all other virtues stand. Without integrity, everything else loses its meaning. Imagine this. You're at work, and your boss asks you to manipulate a report to make the company's performance look better than it actually is. On the one hand, saying no might put your job at risk. On the other hand, agreeing to it would go against your principles. According to the Stoics, your character is worth far more than any job or relationship. If you compromise your integrity once, it becomes easier to do it again and again, until you lose trust in yourself. Marcus Aurelius emphasized the importance of self-respect, which is closely tied to integrity. He wrote, "Be content with what you have and act in accordance with nature." Acting in accordance with nature for the Stoics meant living according to reason and virtue. If you act against your own moral compass, you're going against nature itself, which leads to inner conflict and a loss of peace. When you sacrifice your integrity, the consequences are far-reaching. Yes, you might gain short-term benefits like praise, money, or social acceptance, but at what cost? The Stoics believed that once you compromise on what you know to be right, you lose a part of your soul. You become a person who is willing to do whatever it takes to get ahead, even if it means betraying your own values. But here's the thing. Integrity is like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. Conversely, if you compromise it, it weakens over time. When you consistently act in accordance with your values, you build unshakable self-confidence and trust in yourself. On the other hand, every time you betray your integrity, you chip away at your self-esteem. Practical Stoic exercises to strengthen your integrity. Daily reflection. At the end of each day, take a few minutes to reflect on your actions. Ask yourself, Did I act according to my principles today? Did I make any compromises that went against my values? This practice, known as evening reflection, was a common exercise among the Stoics. It helps you stay accountable to yourself and ensures you are constantly aligning your actions with your values. 2. Journaling. Write down situations where you attempted to compromise your integrity. Reflect on why it was difficult to stay true to your principles and what you can do differently next time. This will help you develop the mental fortitude to stand your ground when faced with ethical dilemmas. 3. The Stoic pause. Before making a decision, especially when under pressure, take a moment to pause and ask yourself, is this in line with my values? Would I be proud of this decision if it became public? The Stoics believed that by pausing and reflecting, you can avoid impulsive actions that go against your principles. Think about historical figures like Nelson Mandela. He was offered multiple chances to be released from prison if he would only renounce his commitment to ending apartheid. Yet, he refused to compromise his principles, even if it meant spending 27 years behind bars. His unwavering integrity not only changed the course of history, but also became an inspiration to millions. You might not face situations as extreme as Mandela did, but the principle remains the same, whether it's standing up for what's right in a meeting, refusing to gossip, or staying true to your word. Integrity is something you should never sacrifice for anyone. Living with integrity means staying true to your principles, even when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient. Remember the words of Epictetus. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. In any situation, your reaction should be guided by your values, not by the desire to please others or avoid conflict. 2. Never sacrifice your inner peace. Inner peace is one of the most invaluable assets you can possess, and according to Stoic philosophy, it is something that should never be sacrificed for anyone or anything. The Stoics taught that true contentment comes not from external circumstances, but from within. As Epictetus once noted, no man is free who is not master of himself. For the Stoics, freedom was synonymous with inner peace. Achieving it meant mastering your thoughts, emotions, and reactions. But in the modern world, it's easy to fall into the trap of sacrificing your inner peace to meet the demands of others. Whether it's at work, in relationships, or even on social media, the pressure to please everyone can be overwhelming. This constant drive to satisfy external expectations can leave you feeling drained, anxious, and far from peaceful. The Stoics emphasized that your mind is your sanctuary. This means that, regardless of what's happening around you, you have control over how you perceive and respond to situations. According to the Stoic philosopher Seneca, he who is brave is free. Courage, in this context, refers to the courage to guard your peace of mind, even when the world around you is chaotic. To achieve inner peace, the Stoics believed you must cultivate a mindset that is resilient and grounded. This involves embracing the concept of ataraxia, which translates to a state of unshakable calmness. It's about being undisturbed by the ups and downs of life, realizing that most things that happen are outside of your control. The only thing you can truly control is your reaction to them. Let's consider a real-life scenario. You're at work, and your boss gives you last-minute tasks, demanding that you work late. You feel stressed, resentful, and anxious. The reason you're sacrificing your inner peace is not because of the workload itself, but because you're allowing the pressure to dictate your emotional state. According to the Stoics, your peace is lost, not because of the event itself, but because of the judgment you attach to it. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This quote encourages us to focus on controlling our internal reactions, rather than trying to change external circumstances, which are often beyond our influence. Practical Stoic exercises to cultivate inner peace. 1. Practice the art of indifference, apatheia. The Stoics believed in the concept of apatheia, which refers to a state of being emotionally unperturbed by external events. To practice this, whenever something happens that threatens to disturb your peace, pause and ask yourself, is this something within my control? If the answer is no, practice letting go of the emotional attachment. For example, if someone criticizes you unfairly, remind yourself that their opinion is beyond your control. 2. Morning meditation. Start your day by setting your intentions to remain calm and centered, no matter what challenges come your way. Marcus Aurelius would often prepare himself each morning by reflecting on the kinds of people he would encounter. Today, I shall meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they cannot tell good from evil. By anticipating challenges, you become mentally prepared, making it easier to maintain your inner peace. 3. Detachment from outcomes. One of the main reasons we lose our peace is because we are overly attached to specific outcomes. Whether it's a job promotion, a relationship, or a financial goal, we often tie our sense of well-being to achieving these outcomes. The Stoics advise that we should focus on doing our best while letting go of the results. Epictetus taught, "Do your duty and leave the rest to the gods." This means doing your part with diligence and leaving the outcome to fate. Consider the story of James Stockdale, a US Navy pilot who was captured during the Vietnam War. During his years as a prisoner of war, he applied Stoic principles to survive the ordeal. He couldn't control his captor's actions, but he had full control over his thoughts and reactions. He focused on maintaining his inner peace, even in the most brutal conditions, by detaching himself from his circumstances and focusing on what he could control, his attitude and mental resilience. While most of us will never face such extreme conditions, the principle applies to everyday life. Whether it's dealing with a demanding boss, a difficult family member, or an unexpected setback, preserving your inner peace means not letting external events dictate your internal state. Your peace of mind is one of the most valuable things you possess, and once lost, it can be difficult to regain. The Stoics teach that the key to maintaining inner peace is mastering your mind, letting go of what you cannot control and focusing on what you can, your thoughts, reactions, and behaviors. The next time you feel your peace slipping away, remember this Stoic maxim. It is not the things themselves that disturb men, but their judgments about these things. 3. Never sacrifice your authenticity. In a world filled with societal expectations, peer pressure, and the constant bombardment of social media, staying true to who you are can be incredibly challenging. Yet, authenticity is something the Stoics believed you should never sacrifice, no matter the cost. Being authentic means living in alignment with your true self, values, and beliefs, rather than conforming to what others expect of you. Seneca, a prominent Stoic philosopher, advised, "Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken." This statement highlights the importance of embracing your uniqueness and resisting the urge to mold yourself to fit others' ideals. For the Stoics, authenticity wasn't just about being different for the sake of it, but about living in accordance with your true nature and principles. The Stoics believed that everyone has their own unique nature or essence, and living in alignment with it is crucial for a fulfilling life. According to Stoicism, living a life that is true to yourself is synonymous with living a life of virtue. If you constantly adjust who you are to please others, you're not only betraying yourself, but you're also failing to live virtuously. Marcus Aurelius, in his meditations, frequently reminded himself to remain authentic despite being surrounded by flatterers, sycophants, and those who sought to influence him. As a Roman emperor, he was constantly under pressure to conform to the expectations of his advisors and subjects. Yet, he remained committed to living according to his values, emphasizing, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." The consequences of sacrificing authenticity. When you sacrifice your authenticity, You're essentially living someone else's life. You may gain short-term approval, but over time, the cost is substantial. You begin to lose touch with who you truly are. This disconnect can lead to feelings of emptiness, dissatisfaction, and even resentment because you're not honoring your true self. Imagine being in a relationship where you constantly feel the need to change who you are to satisfy your partner. Over time, you lose sight of your own passions, interests, and identity. The Stoics would argue that such a sacrifice is not only unsustainable, but also destructive to your soul. Authenticity in relationships and social circles. It's often in social settings that we're tempted to compromise our authenticity, whether it's laughing at a joke that doesn't align with your values or pretending to be interested in topics you couldn't care less about. Small compromises can accumulate over time, eroding your sense of self. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus warned against the dangers of people-pleasing. He stated, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." In other words, if being true to yourself means that some people will misunderstand or judge you, so be it. The approval of others is fleeting, but your authenticity is what will lead to a deeper sense of fulfillment. Practical Stoic exercises to maintain authenticity. Daily self-reflection. Every evening, take a few minutes to reflect on your day. Ask yourself, did I act in alignment with my true self today? Did I say or do anything just to fit in or please others? Writing down your reflections can help you identify patterns where you may be compromising your authenticity. The 80-20 rule of authenticity. The Stoics believed in the idea of prioritizing what truly matters. Apply the 80-20 principle by focusing on being authentic in 80% of your interactions. This doesn't mean being rude or disregarding social etiquette, but rather prioritizing honesty in areas that align with your core values. If a situation arises where you feel pressured to conform, pause and ask yourself, is this worth sacrificing who I am? 3. Practice. Saying no. Often we compromise our authenticity because we fear rejection or disapproval. The Stoics believed that saying no is a powerful way to assert your boundaries. Next time someone asks you to do something that goes against your values or desires, practice saying no with confidence. It's a small but powerful way to protect your authenticity. Consider the story of Socrates, who is often considered a precursor to the Stoics. Socrates was famously sentenced to death for corrupting the youth of Athens with his ideas. He was given the opportunity to avoid execution by renouncing his teachings. However, Socrates chose death over compromising his beliefs. He believed that to betray his philosophy would be worse than death itself, as it would mean sacrificing the essence of who he was. While you may never face such an extreme situation, the principle still applies. Whether it's standing up for your beliefs in a meeting, expressing your true feelings in a relationship, or choosing a career path that aligns with your passions rather than societal expectations, staying authentic is a practice that requires courage. The Stoics teach that living authentically is essential for a life of virtue and fulfillment. Remember, authenticity is not about being stubborn or refusing to change. It's about ensuring that any changes you make are aligned with your true values, not driven by the desire to please others. The next time you feel pressured to conform, remember the words of Epictetus. Know, first, who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly. 4. Never sacrifice your freedom. Freedom is a fundamental value in Stoic philosophy, but the Stoics had a unique understanding of what true freedom means. For them, freedom wasn't just about physical liberty, but rather the ability to control one's mind, emotions, and reactions. Epictetus, a former slave who became a revered Stoic philosopher, famously stated, "No one is free who is not master of himself." This highlights the Stoic belief that true freedom comes from within. In today's world, it's easy to associate freedom with financial independence, career success, or the absence of obligations. However, the Stoics remind us that these forms of freedom are fleeting and dependent on external circumstances. True freedom according to Stoicism, is about cultivating an unshakable inner autonomy, a state where your mind is free from being swayed by desires, fears, or the opinions of others. The cost of sacrificing your freedom. Many of us unconsciously sacrifice our freedom in subtle ways. We stay in jobs we despise, remain in relationships that drain us, or adhere to societal expectations that don't align with our true desires. Why do we do this? Often it's because we fear the consequences of asserting our freedom, be it financial instability, loneliness, or social rejection. Let's take the example of someone working in a high-paying job that they hate. They continue to endure the stress and dissatisfaction because they're afraid of losing the security that comes with the paycheck. The Stoics would argue that this person has sacrificed their freedom for the illusion of security. By staying in a situation that goes against their well-being, they have effectively become a prisoner of their own fears. How to reclaim your freedom. The Stoic way. According to the Stoics, freedom is about letting go of attachments that bind you, whether it's the pursuit of wealth, the desire for approval, or the fear of failure. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." This means that the chains that bind you are often self-imposed. By changing your perspective, you can liberate yourself. Consider this. How often do you say yes to things you don't want to do because you're afraid of disappointing others? How many times have you put your dreams on hold because you were worried about what people might think? The Stoics would advise that true freedom is found when you stop allowing external forces to dictate your actions and start living according to your own values. Practical Stoic exercises to cultivate freedom. 1. The dichotomy of control. This is one of the most powerful Stoic tools for achieving freedom. Epictetus taught that we should focus only on what is within our control and let go of everything else. Make a list of your current worries and categorize them into 2 columns: things you can control and things you cannot. By focusing solely on what you can control, you free yourself from the anxiety of trying to change what is beyond your influence. 2. Practice voluntary discomfort. The Stoics believed that practicing discomfort helps build resilience and detachment from material comforts. Seneca, for example, would sleep on the floor occasionally or wear simple clothing to remind himself that he could live happily, even without luxury. Try fasting for a day, taking a cold shower, or going without your phone for a few hours. These exercises can help you break free from your dependencies and realize that you don't need external comforts to be content. 3. Daily affirmation of your values. Each morning, remind yourself of your core values and what you're willing to stand for, even if it means going against the grain. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." By staying true to your values, you preserve your inner freedom, no matter what pressures others may impose on you. One powerful modern example of someone who embodied Stoic freedom is Viktor Frankl, an Austrian psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust. During his time in a concentration camp, Frankl realized that even though the Nazis controlled his external circumstances, they could not control his mind. He wrote, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances." Frankl's ability to find meaning and purpose, even in the most horrific conditions, demonstrates the Stoic idea that true freedom is an internal state. In our everyday lives, while we may not face such extreme situations, the principle remains the same. Whether it's dealing with a controlling boss, navigating difficult family dynamics, or resisting societal pressures, we all have the choice to preserve our freedom by controlling our reactions and staying true to our principles. The Stoics teach us that freedom is not about being free from responsibilities or obligations, but about being free from the tyranny of our own thoughts, desires, and fears. By focusing on what is within your control and letting go of the rest, you can achieve a level of freedom that no one can take away from you. Remember the words of Epictetus. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. 5. Never sacrifice your self-respect. Self-respect is one of the most crucial pillars of a life lived well, according to Stoic philosophy. The Stoics believed that if you lose respect for yourself, you lose everything. Self-respect is the foundation of your dignity, self-worth, and inner strength. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote in his Meditations, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." This means that how you perceive yourself, how you treat yourself, and how you allow others to treat you directly shapes your inner life. Understanding self-respect in Stoic philosophy. To the Stoics, self-respect was more than just a matter of pride. It was about living in alignment with your values. When you respect yourself, you uphold your principles, no matter what others think or how they may try to sway you. It means setting boundaries and refusing to compromise on what you believe is right. Seneca once said, "Dignity does not consist in possessing honors, but in deserving them." This quote reflects the Stoic view that self-respect comes from within. It's about living a life that is deserving of honor, regardless of external recognition. The Stoics believed that it's better to face disapproval for doing what's right than to gain approval for compromising your values. The dangers of sacrificing your self-respect. One of the most common ways people sacrifice their self-respect is by allowing others to dictate their worth. Whether it's staying in toxic relationships, tolerating disrespect at work, or constantly seeking validation from others, compromising your self-respect leads to a gradual erosion of your self-esteem. Imagine this scenario. You're in a friendship where you're constantly belittled or ignored. You continue to tolerate the behavior because you fear losing the friendship. Over time, however, you begin to feel less confident and more insecure. The Stoics would argue that by allowing this, you're not only sacrificing your self-respect, but also damaging your soul. Marcus Aurelius advised, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." In other words, just because others may treat you poorly doesn't mean you should compromise your standards. Upholding your self-respect in the face of adversity is the ultimate display of inner strength. How to maintain self-respect the Stoic way. According to the Stoics, self-respect is tied to living a virtuous life. This means acting in ways that align with your principles, regardless of the external pressures you may face. Epictetus taught that no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. This is a powerful reminder that maintaining self-respect is entirely within your control. Here's how you can apply Stoic wisdom to cultivate and preserve your self-respect. 1. Set boundaries without guilt. One of the clearest signs of self-respect is the ability to set boundaries. This means saying no when something doesn't align with your values, even if it means disappointing others. The Stoics believed that it's better to endure temporary discomfort from setting boundaries than to live with the long-term pain of self-betrayal. The next time someone asks you to do something that goes against your principles, practice saying no calmly and confidently. 2. Practice self-compassion. The Stoics emphasized self-reflection, but they also believed in being compassionate towards oneself. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Self-respect doesn't mean being harsh on yourself when you make mistakes. Instead, it involves recognizing your imperfections while striving to live in alignment with your values. Forgive yourself when you fall short, and use the experience as a lesson to improve. 3. Act according to your values, not others' expectations. Often, we sacrifice our self-respect to gain approval from others, be it family, friends, or society at large. The Stoics remind us that the opinions of others are beyond our control. Focus on what you can control, your actions, your thoughts, and your responses. The next time you're faced with a situation where you're tempted to compromise, ask yourself, will this action align with the person I want to be? Consider the story of Rosa Parks, who refused to give up her seat on a segregated bus. Her simple act of resistance was rooted in a deep sense of self-respect and a refusal to accept unjust treatment. While her decision led to her arrest, it sparked the civil rights movement and demonstrated that standing up for your dignity, even in the face of severe consequences, is a powerful act of courage. In our daily lives, we may not face such monumental challenges, but we do encounter situations that test our self-respect. Whether it's standing up to a difficult boss, leaving a toxic relationship, or asserting your boundaries with family members, choosing to prioritize your dignity over convenience is a Stoic way of living. Practical Stoic exercises to reinforce self-respect. 1. Journaling for self-reflection. Every evening, take time to write about situations where you felt your self-respect was challenged. Reflect on how you responded and whether you stayed true to your values. This exercise can help you become more aware of areas where you might be compromising yourself and empower you to make better choices in the future. 2. Daily affirmations of self-worth. Start your day by affirming your self-respect. Simple affirmations like, "I am worthy of respect," or "I deserve to be treated with dignity," can set a positive tone for the day and reinforce your inner resolve to stand by your principles. 3. The Stoic Virtue Audit. At the end of each week, perform a virtue audit where you assess how well you've adhered to your values. Were there moments where you compromised your self-respect? What can you do differently moving forward? This practice, inspired by Stoic self-reflection, helps you stay aligned with your core values. Self-respect is not just about how others treat you, it's about how you treat yourself. The Stoics teach us that maintaining self-respect means refusing to lower your standards, no matter the situation. Remember, the way you allow others to treat you is a reflection of how you see yourself. Uphold your dignity by living in alignment with your values, and you will find an unshakable sense of inner strength. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, dwell on the beauty of life, watch the stars, and see yourself running with them. This is a call to recognize your own worth and to live a life that reflects your highest values. These are the 5 things you should never sacrifice for anyone, according to Stoic philosophy: integrity, inner peace, authenticity, freedom, and self-respect. These principles are the cornerstones of a fulfilling life and are worth protecting at all costs. If you found value in this video, don't forget to subscribe to Be Stoic for more insights on living a life of wisdom and resilience. Remember, true strength comes from within. The next time you're faced with a choice, ask yourself whether it aligns with your values. Make the decision to live with integrity, and you'll find a deeper sense of fulfillment that no external achievement can provide. Thank you for watching. Stay stoic, stay strong, and remember, never sacrifice what truly matters.